Fancy intro music, yeah! Woo!
Merry Christmas and happy holidays, everybody. Welcome to this year's version of Trek the Halls for Star Trek Fleet Command. And I'll go ahead and say ahead of time, I feel like this is the best one we've had maybe since we started doing the Christmas events, but definitely better than last year's. I want to cover everything here, including the event store, the events, what the events will entail, and then even some of the special bonuses, I guess, that are included with this year's Christmas. And we did talk about this, announced it on my Discord. If you're not in my Discord, I really encourage you to join. We try to put forth anything that's really coming into the game. But you should notice there's a bonus refinery going on right now. I encourage you to take advantage of this. Hopefully you've been prepping for it. And this is a Christmas special that they agreed to give to y'all as I was having conversations with the ops team a couple weeks ago. So that means in the past 6 months, we've gotten 3 bonus refineries. So quick math, averaging one every 2 months. I will, of course, try to use this as a precedent for 2022 and get them to kind of put this on a more regular schedule. But shout out to the dev team for hearing that and giving this early Christmas present. Also want to point out, because I'm sure many of you are going to ask in terms of events, because if you go into your news section, the in-game news, there was a problem with it loading up early on, but you will have a total of, depending on your level, if you are at least level 21 or above, you should have a total of nine SMS events. There will also be the Alliance leaderboard, which is currently going on now, and then a solo leaderboard starting on the 27th. This will go for 5 days? The 24th, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th. Yeah, bam. You got 5 days worth of these, and then the event store stays up for about a week. So going through these events, we can use, and I don't have exact numbers, but I will use this as kind of like a rough measurement tool, if you will. But if you look at the Trek the Halls event for today, and this is, I'm looking on both of my accounts here, you're looking at getting it right around 6,000 for completing an SMS event. Now, also, I got to give a shout out to the dev team real quick, because one of the first things that we did this morning when we were going through this and going through the scoring, one of my big things that we did feedback on, myself and Snake Eyes, I want to push out that Snake Eyes was helping out, who works with Ultimate DJ, that the Alliance helps was going to be a pretty tall reach, because it originally was 400 helps or donating to your Alliance. So to make it easier for everybody, but specifically the lower level players who can't start armadas, we had that swapped, and now every help gives 5 points. So once again, a thank you to the dev team for paying attention to that, and thank you to also the moderators who were, active with feedback this morning. But taking this gives me 6,000 of the holiday tokens. So if we take a rough idea, if we do that, multiply that times 9, because there's 9 different SMS events, and some of those lasting multiple days, like the Alliance help one today. We've got Faction Hunt for a couple days, and then we'll have Hostile Hunt, and you saw that listed in the news channel. We should probably, if we stay the same, get around 50 to 60,000 of these tokens. And let's take a look at the event store as we have it now. It's got a couple Section 31 officers. It's got Officer Burnham, and then Honor Guard Worf. So a little bit different than I was expecting. However, the real key here was allowing people to finish getting Honor Guard Worf. And if we go by that math that we just made, 50,000 is going to give you about a dozen Honor Guard Worf shards, which is around what a lot of people were short on. And we'll see how that ends up kind of playing through here as we go forward. There's also a lot in here. We told you there's going to be faction credits. You've got officer badges. You've got consumables for, depending on where you're at with your exocomps. Away team speed ups, isoemulsion, isoresin, and mycelium, which we told you there's going to be some go-go juice, and there is. Then you've got 3 specialty ships, specifically the Meridian and the Discovery. Now, keep in mind, when Duality ends, because Duality is not over, there will be an event store at the end of Duality. So if you are lacking a Discovery, or if you're lacking maybe that second Meridian, is a very, very nice exchange. One chest is 5,000. If we're going with the idea that we're going to get 50,000 or more, that means for 25,000 holiday tokens, we get half a Meridian and half a Discovery. That's a very, very good value. In fact, if you're listening to this and you're wondering where to spend your tokens, the top 2 things I'm looking at are, if you don't have these specialty ships, those are first. Get your Discovery and Meridian. I would go Meridian first, because there's not a way to currently source that in the game. However, there is a way to source the Discovery now that it's been added to Cosmic Cleanup. But still very important to go ahead and unlock if you have not. Sarcophagus, not that important to me, and the value's not really there because you're only getting 2 shards. instead of getting the number that you are with the rares. A couple of other things to look at is probably right up there is Honor Guard Wharf. If you're a PvP player, if you are not a PvP player, you rarely do it. Don't necessarily worry as much about focusing on getting Wharf. And I always stress this same idea every time we talk about this. Look, if you're going to do stuff in event stores, go for the things that you can't get normally. Officer Marcus is not only in Ultra Pools, but he's in Transporter Pattern. So while good, not necessarily needed. Yuki, Burnham, same thing. And even DuPont. And I really like DuPont as an officer. Maybe not something that you need to focus on getting. And I also want to point out a little special coming tomorrow on Christmas Day. There will be a reward given to the players. Rewards inside, I don't know. We'll see what it is. But there's a Christmas gift coming to you, the players, tomorrow that you'll find in your gift chest. So be looking out for that. But in terms of the officers, Honor Guard Wharf probably the only one that I would focus on if you're going for a focus. Once again, independent credits, very important to go after. I would not necessarily focus on officer badges because you can get these through discovery refining with the commendation badges, or what are the minor commendations, whatever they're called. The little like rainbow triangles, those things. The away teams, I don't feel like necessarily is the greatest value. The ISO emulsion is nice, especially for all the research. In terms of overall value, getting 25,000, costing 25,000, so maybe half your tokens to then get, over 150,000 ISO emulsion that's refined, I think is a pretty decent value. The ISO resin definitely feels like a low value for a lot of people, and I definitely agree with those people who think that this isn't the best value, but still gives you an opportunity to go and spend that. So you could do, say, half on a Meridian and then half on ISO to speed up research if you wanted to. There's also a Tetrion bundle for those who are doing cloaking, finding that, maybe you're running short on cloaking. Well, now you can go and get into that as well. Keep in mind, once again, that your event store will vary based on your level. Things inside will be different for everybody. Now, I did look at it on my level 19 account, and just to have it as a reference, we can pull that up real quick and transition it onto the screen. As you can see here, I still have the Honor Guard Wharf, the Marcus, the Burnham, DuPont, etc., with pretty much similar setups. Some of the limits are different. You can see some of the rewards are identical though, like right here. This is the same thing that I'm getting on a level 41 account. And then I'm short on some of the things like the specialty ships based on ops level, which is simply going to happen. And that's just pretty normal. ISO emulsion though, much lower for this one. So if you're a low level player, going after the ISO probably not as important, focusing more on the officers and independent credits, which definitely has more value, because this as a low level player is huge to have a stock that you kind of work on building up. And since you look to be getting the same amount of tokens, pretty good value there. I'm gonna go ahead and take the level 19 off the screen because it's weird seeing that screen resolution that we don't really use anymore. But comparing this to how holiday events have been in the past, I can put some of that on the screen if you aren't familiar with what we've done before. If you remember last year, you had to spend 10,000 of a holiday currency to get one Lorca shard, and then one shard of Killy and one shard of Emperor's Georgiou. So in just terms of officers, you're getting a better value this year. Specialty ships, definitely better. Last year, the event store had the sarcophagus, but there was no discovery to go after. I mean, so specialty ships getting a little bit more of a focus in here. I feel like even the Exocom consumables have a little bit more value than last year's store. And the biggest thing for me out of all of this is, and I'll have this on the screen, last year was so focused on leaderboards, alliance leaderboards, solo leaderboards. And while the faction hunt did exist, it definitely felt like those events were way more focused on you grinding and spending time in the game. Where here, they're wanting you to complete events to earn, but it's not one of those things that you either pay to win or grind to win. They're letting you enjoy the holidays with your family. And a great example of that was what we talked about earlier, them hearing the feedback and going, hey, you're right. The 400 helps is too much for the average player. Let's lower that down and make it easier for everybody to complete. And then let's not forget, there's of course that new frame and avatar that my alliance is going for because it matters. Wrong one. Got to go over to the Trek the Halls. I'm going to get me my fancy little ugly sweater and maybe even a holiday frame if we could finish in the top 3-ish, which I think we will. I think we will. We're going to get it. Yeah. And then I'm going to enjoy the rewards. Sadly, no holiday tokens here. Probably my only real complaint. And then last but not least, I'm going to go over the store real quick. The offers in the store. A couple of these are value if you're willing to spend money. Harrison, for example, who has been $100 before, is probably a decent value if you don't have him. We talk about him all the time for base defense. If you simply want to buy an officer, I'm not telling you to spend it, just simply saying that, hey, that one might actually be a little bit of a reward. If we talk about what you could do in terms of unlocking, this pack will give you 120,000 holiday tokens, probably more than double what we're going to get naturally through SMS, which then gives you a lot more options with those officers and lets you focus maybe on getting more things like, going for that extra Meridian, also getting the independent credits, also getting Honor Guard Wharf, maybe even working on leveling him up if that's what you want to do, as well as getting a lot of other loot inside the pack. Once again, that is up to you. I don't typically recommend the $20 holiday pack just because I don't really feel like there's much in this. I don't really feel like this is worth $20 for you. Save that money for the upcoming battle pass. These shakedown crews gets asked about a lot. Leslie and then the others, great for XP grinding. So there is a little bit of value there if you're willing to spend for 20 bucks just to have some XP grinding officers, maybe help you out with that Stella and all those ships that you're always trying to scrap. Also to point out real quick that a lot of the other favorite bundles that people go after are in the store, like the Galactic Armada pack. This is the best Armada pack in the game. If you're willing to spend, don't do it if you don't want to, but in terms of value, very, very high value in the Galactic Armada pack. Just to show you, look, you're getting the epics, the rares, and the uncommons, as well as gifting rares to your alliance. So value, especially for you whales and you spenders, Galactic Armada pack, I would recommend buying it. Also look at the top where they've changed some of how it displays, saying exactly what you're getting. For example, the Elite Cultivated Mycelium pack paying for 500 jumps for $100 is pretty nice to kind of see that in a visual of what you're getting. 2 to unlock for cloaking if you want to buy cloaking, being able to know up front what you're having to buy without there being kind of anything hiding behind that. The transparency is appreciated even if I'm not going to push those packs. You can also buy another Meridian if you're wanting to. You can see the ISS Jelly pack for me because my alliance has the territory discovery, and then your normal just slate of never-ending $100 packs. Anyway, I feel like this is an event that in a series of events that's much better than what we've had in the past. But I am curious, as always, to know what you think in the comments section below. And real quick, I want to take just a moment to just wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, and to thank y'all for an amazing year. The things that y'all have done for me and my family is so appreciated. And, I know my daughter, Laura, my son, Ali Flett, while they're too young to really understand, I promise you I will be telling them stories when I'm older of all the things that you do for us and how you have helped me grow and have trusted in me to help provide you for not only this game, but other games, especially on Twitch and every other medium that we're on. So just a heartfelt Merry Christmas. I appreciate, love all of y'all. Live long and prosper. Stay safe out there, Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. God bless. We'll catch you on the next video. Merry Christmas once again. Toodaloo.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.